Air Quality Management District here. Call it to order on January 25th, 2018 at 9 a.m. The clerk, could please call the roll.
Carr. Cruz.
Here.
Daniels.
Here.
Frost. Here. Gaylord.
Here.
Guerra.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
Kennedy. Lee.
Here.
Natoli. Peters. Here. Cerna.
Here.
Terry. We have a quorum.
Great, thanks. If everyone could please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. If the clerk could please read the announcement.
This meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District is cablecast live without interruption on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast Consolidated Communications, and AT&T UVerse cable systems. This meeting is being closed captioned and will be webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will be repeated on Tuesday, January 30th and Wednesday, January 31st at noon on Channel 14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker form located on the table at the back of the chambers and give it to the clerk. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record. Also, at this time, please silence your cell phones until the conclusion of today's meeting.
Great, thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and call the first item. And I think Board Member Hanson had a good idea for the first item, which is, along with the Air Pollution Controls Officer's report, the status of our air quality.
That was a jest.
Okay, good morning, Board. We haven't seen you since last year, so I feel compelled to begin my remarks by saying simply Happy New Year. It's starting already out to be a busy and exciting 2018. So we have a full agenda for you today. We have two items we need you to take action on. And we're going to conclude the meeting with an informational item on a topic that is very timely. And that's really the reason we wanted to put it before you. Let me, in my report to you, hit a number of highlights that you are going to see are going to percolate through the year in terms of the various activities at the staff level as well as for you, the board. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the 2018 outlook. Initially, I thought about doing a sort of a list of priorities for 2018 for the agency. And obviously, there's a lot of important activity that is going on with the core programs at the agency. But really, the one item that is going to hit us very hard, in a good way, is this new legislative mandate, shorthand AB 617. And it's essentially new requirements that the state has adopted, and it's got multiple elements to this requirement. We're going to have to do more reporting on emissions, so we have to go back and examine our sources and understand them better than we have. A big item under AB 617 is new requirements for community monitoring, and specifically identification of disadvantaged communities and low-income communities that continue to see disproportionate impacts from air pollution. And that's going to be a big issue, and we're going to bring you back. The state has put together a process of identifying these communities within each regional district. We're going to bring you back what we are going to be proposing to the board because we clearly need your input. This is all about using strategically and in a very deliberate way cap-and-trade funding so that we can mitigate excess impacts in our communities. And that is going to be a recurring theme that you're going to hear us talk about again because, as you've heard before, in terms of some of the cap-and-trade allocations, the Sacramento region didn't do as well as we think we should have done because we do have impacted communities. So that's going to be a theme that you're going to hear us talk about and make the connection about monitoring and understanding our communities and using the new funding that cap and trade is going to generate to help us reduce emissions and mitigate those impacts. It is going to impact the agency-wide across the board. Station Resources is going to have to do more work in terms of understanding the emissions and looking at toxic impacts, and we have a toxics item for you today. Our Planning and Coordination Division obviously is going to be front and center in terms of helping us plan through these new efforts. And then, of course, mobile sources. Transportation is the biggest source of impacts for us in terms of air pollution. And the way we solve the transportation problem is not by new rules. It's by investing in cleaner technology. And that is why we're so focused on bringing more cap and trade funding to our region so that we can clean up transportation and not only meet our air quality goals, but also the co-benefit for climate.
Really quickly, we have a question from Director Carr.
Yes, many of us were not satisfied, we're not happy with the original algorithms that were used to establish disadvantaged communities. Are they changing that in this process?
Thank you, Director Carr. That's a perfect segue for my next slide. So we join you in that concern that the tool that the state has adopted to identify communities is just that. It's a tool. Like anything, there are many tools, and any tool can always be improved with new data and new information. So one of the things that we've done is utilizing the existing Clean Air Partnership, a public-private partnership that we have in the region. We mobilize our business, our NGO community, ourselves, our district and the other air districts. And we've been talking to our state representatives precisely about that issue, the fact that the way that the state determines these communities, for good reason, leaves our region out. So what we are proposing is we got to do better than that. We got to explore new tools. We got to explore improving the current tool. And we are in the middle of that process, and we're going to be seeking your support because we do have to engage in this conversation. And obviously, it's not going to be an easy conversation. And in your packet, you've got the one-pager that the Cleaner Air Partnership, the CAP, and I'm going to be careful because we have several acronyms that are CAP, and they mean three different things. But the Clean Air Partnership is essentially the one that has mobilized this effort. And we've decided to hold a state summit. The key audience is our state representatives at the Capitol. And what we want to do is we want to have a conversation with our state representatives about how do we develop the playbook for the region so that we can do better in this next year of allocations of cap and trade funding.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah, Director.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I just want to, before you go any further on the summit, I want to make sure that Director Carr does understand, though, what I think he's referencing is Cal EnviroScreen.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of discussion at this board and elsewhere about the shortcomings of that. There have been now 3 versions. We're on the 3rd version. We call it Cal EnviroScreen 3.0, which has made some effort to recognize those shortcomings. This is a tool that is used by Cal EPA. It's not developed by the California Air Resources Board. It's also a tool that's not solely just used for air quality purposes or greenhouse gas emission purposes in terms of how do we invest in disadvantaged communities. There are inputs into that GIS platform that include water quality, for instance. It has nothing to do with air quality. There are inputs that continue to more or less kind of rank or treat disadvantaged communities across the state with a eye towards how they're weighted. So, for instance, Meadowview in Sacramento is being compared still to Watts in LA, and that's why there continues to be some frustration, not just here in Sacramento, but at other regions across the state, notably in the Bay Area, where we as local electeds that are very familiar with our constituencies and the history of economically challenged areas in the districts or the jurisdictions we represent, when they don't appear on that map, I, like you, get very frustrated and express our concern. I think this is going to continue to be an evolving platform. But certainly, as Alberto has pointed out, it's been part of the conversations that I and others with the Clean Air Partnership have had in recent days with our legislative contingent.
Thank you, Director Serna. Very good explanation of the tool. And in your packet, you've got this one-pager. What I'm not going to show you in my slides is the back of this page. And it actually has a proposed alternative tool to CalEnviro Screen. And the whole point of us doing this is simply to highlight the fact that there are other ways to look at our communities, and we certainly wholeheartedly agree that, you as the elected officials for the region, we as the regional air district, we know our needs and communities better than certainly the state or their tool. We understand the need for it, but we should not stop there. We need to move forward. And frankly, again, that's why we're getting mobilized. The other advocating element that I need to make sure that I share with you and get your perspective if you have it is, as you all know, we have a very active Metro Chamber, and they are a key partner in what we are trying to accomplish. Planning for the State Legislative Summit is already well underway for March 13. I'm sure you guys many of you are plugged into that through other affiliations. But what I wanted to share with you is, when it comes to air quality, we landed on the following topics, and again, they're going to be very similar. The first thing that we and the Metro and the rest of the team that is part of this effort, we're going to be advocating again for more cap-and-trade funding so that we can solve our transportation emissions problem, so that we can improve mobility to put us on a more sustainable path forward. We want to ask for more flexibility, and again, this gets back to the point on CalEnviro Screen, that we need flexibility, and in particular, when the state issues investments, we need to have the ability to be nimble and flexible, and block grants or something like that is going to be a much more efficient way than the current solicitation process, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So we're advocating for that. Obviously, forests and forest health is going to be a big issue, not only for us, throughout the state, throughout the next cycle of legislative discussions. We also want to highlight that. The fourth bullet gets at the point that we just discussed, and this is the point that Supervisor Serna just made, that the tool that the investment decisions are primarily based on needs improvement, because particularly as it relates to our region. And then the final point that the Legislative Summit is going to be advocating in connection to air quality is wood stoves in our region and wood burning. The state has put together a pilot, very good initial program. We obviously want to move forward and do more than that. And speaking of burning, first of all, I want to thank you for your support, because as you know, this season was a really tough season for particle pollution. We hit records in terms of the number of days that we had to call for stage 2 no burn. We hit records in terms of the number of violations that we identify, in terms of the number of complaints. And you can see the numbers and the statistics. What I wanted to do here is simply to, one, thank you for your support, because we understand many times you guys are the ones that get the first calls from unhappy citizens. But what I want to leave you with is, this is a very critical rule for us if we are going to stay in attainment of the PM standard. Is touch and go. I have to be honest with you. It's touch and go. We're watching these numbers very closely, and we're still in attainment, but we need to maintain those levels of pollution in a controlled fashion, and this rule is going to be absolutely essential. We're moving ahead also on climate action plans, and here I simply wanted to highlight for you that just recently GALT was awarded a California Energy Commission planning grant to develop their climate action plan, and the district is happy and ready to step in and provide assistance. Last time we met in October, our staff gave you a very nice presentation in terms of why climate action plans are important, how they fit into the whole context of land use planning and CEQA. And we are certainly very pleased to see our jurisdictions stepping up and developing these plans. And certainly Director Cruz gets our acknowledgement, and we're ready to work with you and the city. Obviously, he's not the only city representative. There's the county of Sacramento that is moving ahead, and we have a couple other cities. So just wanted to bring that back to the point in terms of the importance of the caps. And speaking of climate, there's climate mitigation, reducing carbon emissions, and then there's also climate adaptation. The fact that if we bring emissions to zero today, there is still going to be some changes in the climate. So we've committed ourselves. And the agency, thanks to the efforts of our staff, and specifically our climate expert, Shelly Jiang, was awarded an Caltrans SB1 climate adaptation plan, as you can see here. And this is going to be a great effort, a regional effort. Most of the grant money is going to the local government commission. They are going to be our partners. They're going to administer some of the academic exercise that is going to have to do with employing a model to understand the climate effects. And specifically, what hits a region like Sacramento is something called the heat island effect. And that is really the key for a region like us. Obviously, we're not on the coast, so we don't have to worry about directly getting impacted by sea level rising and things like that. But certainly, the heat island effect has been identified through previous studies that this board has endorsed and approved as the key impact in terms of climate adaptation for us. So we're very pleased to be working in wide partnership. This is going to be a leading project that is really going to give us some good information, and most importantly, show us what to do. What are we going to be able to do so that we can mitigate the impacts? And as you can see on the slide, this got wide support. We had Senator Dr. Pan send us a very strong support letter. Assemblymember McCarthy did the same thing. We have a long list of supporters, and everybody's ready to get going on the project. We'll bring you back an update once we get to some more progress and findings.
Could I speak to that for just a second, Mr. Chair?
Absolutely.
One of the things to keep in mind on this heat island effect is that many parts of Sacramento were developed before the current standards for parking lots. And in the older areas, there are no trees at all. Mm-hmm. And the property owners are reluctant to make the investment in irrigation systems to change that. So any incentives that we can have or anything that we can do to incentivize property owners to plant trees in the old parking lot so that it's not just one big asphalt sheet would be very helpful, I think, in doing that. We worked with the Tree Foundation before, and they developed a canister that you can put in the ground, and we measure the moisture in the ground as well as release water when necessary. But it's still expensive for property owners to undertake that. So as you investigate that, that's the biggest problem in my area.
No, absolutely, Director Carr. As you know, there is two big chunks of the state program when it comes to climate, the investments to mitigate and the investments to adapt. This is going to be very helpful for us because once we have better understanding and information about our region, then we can go and approach agencies like Natural Resources Agency that is administering what the state is doing on adaptation and seek these investments precisely. Right now, we're operating with basic information that doesn't necessarily pertain to our region. This is going to help us in that regard.
Director Harris.
Thank you, Chair Terry. On this subject, I want to point out that the city of Sacramento has embarked on an urban forestry master plan. So we have GIS information. We have actually a map of every single tree in the city at this point. We know where there are heat islands, where there's a dearth of trees. We're going to be setting tree canopy coverage goals and try to develop, resources so that we can address these issues in areas that are underserved by canopy. It's a very important project for all the reasons that Mr. Ayala has indicated. And this directly goes to, the disadvantaged communities. Across the board, It's areas of lower income that have fewer numbers of trees. So we've got a lot of work to do, but with the Urban Forestry Master Plan, we'll have all the data we need. Part of that study is to look at parking lots throughout the city and to bring them up to code, to get more canopy coverage in those areas that are mostly asphalt. So pretty excited about that process moving forward. And of course, in the new tree ordinance, we also have a mitigation clause. So in every development project, if they don't plant the specified number of trees, they can do an in lieu fee. And that pot of gold is growing to the point where we are just embarking in South Natomas on planting 512 trees, some of them in parking lot areas that are underserved as well. So we're on the path, and I hope that Director Carr, you'll keep up with me on where that urban forestry master plan is going, because it's going to be very important for those areas of heat island effect.
Yeah, this is one that it covers more than just disadvantaged communities. It's all of our communities. We all have these areas that were developed before the current standards. So this impacts everyone.
Director Peters had a comment?
Yeah, thank you. The county, too, has a tree fund, and we use it to plant. And at one point in time, we ran out of places to plant trees, and so we disperse it into other areas. But the main thing I wanted to say was in my district, anyway, where we have a lot of old shopping centers and a big sea of asphalt, what I find the biggest objection is for the owners to get water to the parking lot. And it's expensive, and if there's some way to fund that or part of it, it would be very helpful. Now, on Watt Avenue, there's a shopping center that was doing some rehab, and so the county jumped in and took water from the center median and brought it into the parking lot because they wouldn't pay for it. But that's something to think about for your list.
Very good comments. Thank you. So let me go down the list of items and switch gears and bring you a bit of not so good news. And this is in reference to the state process and the way that cap and trade funds are allocated. Last time we met in October, we brought to you this exciting project that was very unique to our region. We want to deploy infrastructure so that we can bring fuel cell technology that is powered by hydrogen into the region, and particularly to try to crack into the heavy-duty vehicle sector, which is, as you know, a source of a lot of emissions, and the solutions are few and far between. We put together what we thought was a great proposal. We talked to you about this in October. We went through the state process, and the bad news, unfortunately, is that we didn't get the project. And this is really my reference to how the way that we are working with the state is not the most efficient way that we could be doing this. We, as a regulatory entity, are more like ARB than we are not. There's got to be a better way to utilize very limited resources at the regional level. Basically, we put in a lot of effort, not only us as an air district, our partners, and we have nothing to show for it. We're going to continue the fight. We're going to continue to try. But again, I wanted to sensitize you to this because this is going to be one of the key themes that you're going to hear from us as we move forward to try to do better in the outcomes for cap and trade allocations in the next funding cycle.
We had a comment from Director Cerna.
Thank you. Thanks for presenting this in that context, Alberto. I want to also comment, because you kind of went quickly over the slide on the summit scheduled for March 1st. But this dovetails well into the purpose of that summit and the fact that there's been an extraordinary amount of effort in the last couple months. The Clean Air Partnership, I've been squarely in the middle of those conversations and planning for this event. I've also been joining a number of representatives from the Clean Air Partnership in recent days, in fact, visiting with our legislative contingent at the state capitol, not only to make them aware of the summit, but explain the purpose and intent of this newly coalesced group. So to work more efficiently, as you mentioned, more effectively, to more or less not necessarily lobby, but make the case when it's required at ARB. Since you do have a representative there, the 5 air districts in Northern California have a representative in me there, to make stronger arguments so that we can not have to fight over the scraps left when it comes to rare resources, cap and trade resources. We, along with 31 other air districts, we're left to divvy up 5% of the cap and trade appropriations recently, whereas the South Coast Air District, Berea, and San Joaquin received 95%. And so that has to change. I would hope that by way of this very deliberate effort by the Clean Air Partnership, by way of the summit, developing this, what we're calling a playbook for everyone to work from, that we won't have to see slides like this again with big X's over projects.
And I should definitely acknowledge before this board, Director Serna has been very engaged and gracious in getting in the middle of this conversation. And as he said, this is just the beginning of the effort. And again, the reason we care is because if the allocation was just a one-year thing, it's a done deal. But cap and trade is here until 2030 at least. So we're going to see this year in, year out. And what is motivating us, all of us in the partnership, is really we want to control our future. We want a different outcome next year and the year after. If that wasn't the case, then, like I said, we wouldn't care. But we do acknowledge your help, and obviously you're going to be a key factor in helping us do better next time. I didn't want to end on a negative note for sure, and this is something that you all got a note from the clerk about. I do encourage you to, if your schedule permits, to come out to one of the Planet Polluto assemblies. It's all at elementary school in your districts, in your regions. I was very fortunate. Our communications office invited me and took me out to one of them. And it's one of those moments that you walk in and you see these kids and really get engaged into some fairly complex air quality topics, and it's just such a good reminder of why we do what we do. We're very fortunate that you as a board has had the vision to have programs like these. It's many of the solutions that we're trying to implement are really solutions for the next generation. And the way to get there is really to reach them very early. And like I said, this board has had the wisdom to put this project together. It's very effective. I mean, you can tell that the kids do get engaged. And like I said, it surprised me how deep into air quality terminology they get, and they understand it. So if you get a chance, please do make it out to your elementary schools and join us for the, it's a quick assembly. It's 30-40 minutes. And it's really well received. I mean, the faculty welcomes us there and providing the support, and certainly the kids like to put a face to these, behind the scenes government types that are trying to protect their health.
And so you were there. So looking at that picture, we're assuming you're in the suit? No?
I was tempted to try it, yeah.
Director Garrett, did you have something to add?
Yes, if you're done with your report.
I am.
Good. Then I just wanted to say thank you, Dr. Ayala, and acknowledge your efforts to, and I know you're working through the process, but for the district to find the best fit of an advocacy firm that can help us at the statewide lobbying. And I know we're working through that process, but I think that's going to be a key piece for us when we talk about some of these grants, making sure that we have someone who's able to be active in the on the regulatory and grant process side, also in the legislative but budget side. And we're going to hear the State of the State's coming out right now, and they just had the hearing on the state budget. But I think executing that decision on that firm is going to help us achieve that. And I'd like to make sure that they're brought in on some of these concerns with the that Councilmember Carter's brought up on Cal EnviroScreen, so that when Cal EnviroScreen is going through that process, we have them actively working on that issue. So, but thank you, Dr. Ayala, for that great work on acknowledging that since last year's budget. And I remember seeing that budget in print that morning and saying, well, this is not going to go well.
Thank you, Director Guerra, for pointing that out. So he's absolutely right. We've actually identified a new lobbying firm. We're going to bring you that contract next month for your meeting, for your consideration. But you may recall, we lost our lobbyist, and for a while we were flying solo. Well, we don't have to do that anymore, and we are very confident that through an open solicitation process, we identify a very capable firm. Like I said, we'll bring the contract for your consideration, but they are obviously going to be critical in these new efforts, not only to support us, but the broader partnership of the Clean Air Partnership Coalition. So thank you. That concludes my report. Unless you have any other questions or comments, we'll give it back to the clerk and move down the agenda.
And see no more questions. Oh, Director Carr.
One question. Are you going to let us know when you are having an assembly in our districts?
Absolutely. We'll look at our schedule, and obviously, we wish we could have one in each one of the districts. We'll do what we can and keep you posted, absolutely.
Thank you. So with no other comments, we'll move on to the consent agenda, or consent calendar. Are there any items for comment or to remove?
I'll move the consent calendar.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Director Harris. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, consent calendar passes. Moving on to public hearing items. Public hearing item number 9, overview of the air toxics program and hearing on the 2016 air toxics hotspots program report.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I have a PowerPoint presentation, and I need the clicker. My name is Jorge de Guzman, and I am the program manager for the permitting and toxics section at the district. Today I have a presentation for you. It's a two-part presentation. The first part is a brief overview of the air toxics program and how it relates to federal, state, and local regulations. And the second part is a presentation and public hearing on the annual air toxics report. When we look at our permitting process, part of what we do is we have to make a compliance determination with all applicable local, state, and federal regulations. Some of those regulations on all 3 levels include toxics regulations. And these toxics regulations form the pillars of our toxics programs here at the district. The main regulation at the federal level are the national emission standards for hazardous air pollutants. And there's 2 parts to those. The first are health-based standards, and these are very difficult for EPA to get through because they have to make a determination that what they're proposing, if you go above that, it's not safe. If you're below it, it's safe. And it's been very controversial. So since 1970, only 7 substances have been able to be regulated through this process. So when the Clean Air Act was amended in 1990, Congress went on a different direction. It gave EPA 189 substances and said, go find out what source categories are emitting these substances, and then apply maximum achievable control technology to those source categories. That has been a much more successful program. And since 1990, more than 133 different source categories have been regulated under this process. The ones that we deal with the most commonly are engines, boilers, chrome platers, auto body shops, dry cleaners, and gas terminals. At the state level, we have a similar process. They're called air toxic control measures. The ones that I have highlighted here are the ones that we deal with on a regular basis. Another state requirement is that when we issue a permit to a source that's going to emit toxic substances, before we can finalize that permit, we have to do a public notice, we have to notify the parents of all the children that go to that school and any other school that's within a quarter mile of the source, and also all the addresses that are within 1,000 feet from the source. At the local level, when we have a new application for either a new or a modified piece of equipment, we have to make sure that they're complying with all the federal regulations, all the applicable state regulations, and also with our nuisance regulation. Our nuisance regulation says that no source can emit any type of air contaminant that endangers the health of a person. So we ensure compliance with this section through our health risk management program. We look at cancer and non-cancer risks. Cancer risk is the probability of a person developing cancer from being exposed to a pollutant for a lifetime. The non-cancer effects are pollutants that affect like organs, like or your respiratory system or your vision, your nervous system, things like that. And the way we look at those is we look at the concentration and compare it with the maximum safe level, and that's called the hazard index. If the hazard index is greater than 1, it means that the concentration is higher than the safe level. If it's less than 1, it means the concentration is lower than the safe level. So the way we go about making determinations for facilities is we do a health risk review. We get all the information from the source, the emissions, the type of facility, in conjunction with all the meteorology for the area. All that goes into a computer model, a computer dispersion model that we call, and that calculates a concentration around the facility. So we take that concentration and we use the guidelines from the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment to determine what the cancer risk is as well as the non-cancer risks. And we take those numbers, compare them to our standards that were set in our risk management policy, and from there we determine if the project is acceptable or not. For cancer, if it's going to be greater than 1 in a million, in other words, the chances of getting cancer is greater than 1 chance in a million, we require the implementation of best available control technology. If it's going to be greater than 10 in 1 million, we generally don't approve the project. For the hazard index, if it's going to be greater than 1, in other words, if the concentration is going to be greater than the safe level, we don't approve the project. For existing facilities, we have 2 tools that we use. One is our regular inspection of the facilities. All facilities are inspected on an ongoing basis. So we look for compliance with all the applicable conditions on the permit, and some of those conditions are there for toxics. And we also have the air toxics hotspots program. The hotspots program was enacted in 1987 as AB 2588 to assess the health impact from facilities, reduce the risk, and notify the public. And the public is notified in 2 ways. One is if they're being exposed to a high risk, they're notified by mail that such facility is exposing them to a risk that is higher than the threshold. That gives the facility an incentive to reduce emissions as a good neighbor. The other tool is the annual report and public hearing, which is used to inform the community of what is going on with the program and the facilities around the Sacramento area or their own neighborhoods. The state law also requires that the district board hold a public hearing to present the report and discuss the significance and content of the report. So that's part of what we're doing today. So going into what is in the report, I'll start with talking a little bit about the program. The facilities that are affected are the large facilities that emit more than 10 tons per year of any particular pollutant, as well as smaller facilities that were identified by the state as being potential emitters of toxic substances. And those are typically referred to as core facilities. Those small facilities also, if they have similar emission profiles, the district can consider them industry-wide facilities, in which case the district would do most of the work for the facilities. So those would be facilities like gas station, dry cleaners, chrome platers, that type of operation. The process itself is kind of a little bit complex. Facilities have to submit an inventory plan and report. Based on that, we prioritize the facilities into low, medium, and high. If they're high, we have the facility submit a health risk assessment, and if it's an industry-wide, we would do the risk assessment for the facility. If the risk assessment shows that the risk is high, meaning that the cancer risk is over 10 in a million or the hazard index is greater than 1, the facility has to notify the affected public, and also they need to reduce the risk down to an acceptable level. So over the years, we've had facilities that have had to notify and had to reduce their risk, but we were at a point where everybody was below the significance level, so they were not in the high category. And back in around 2005 or so, there was the Children's Protection Act that required the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment to take a look at the way we were doing risk assessments and see if we were being protective enough for children. So they embarked in this long process, and they came up with a document in 2015 indicating that we were not being protective enough for children. And they suggested a new way of doing risk assessments, a new methodology that resulted in risks substantially higher than what we were doing before. So in Sacramento, using the new methodology, the health risks are about 1.5 to 2 times higher than they were before. So based on this, we felt, and this is pretty consistent throughout the state, everybody's taking another look at the facilities under the 2588 program, the hotspots program. So this is not a really simple thing that we can just get done in 1 year. This is a very lengthy process. It can take upwards of 5 years and sometimes longer to go through the process. But we are getting started. We are taking another look at all our facilities. We're starting with the core facilities. What I'm presenting here are the previous numbers from our facilities. Right now, all of these facilities have submitted new inventories, and we are in the process of starting to prioritize those inventories. We don't expect to have too many facilities that will exceed the 10 in a million, maybe one, we're not really sure. We're just starting with this. But it's not, for example, if you look at Blue Diamond in the upper left corner, if you multiply that number by 1.5, you end up with 14, which would indicate that it will be a significant source. However, over time, they have done a lot of emission reduction changes in their facility, so their risk is actually going to be substantially lower than what you're seeing there, even after we multiply by 1.5 or even 2. For gas stations, we are waiting for CAPCOA or NCARB to approve the new risk assessment guidelines for gas stations. Once they do that, we'll take another look at the gas stations. We took a preliminary look at the gas stations, and it looks like we're not going to have any that are over 10 in a million. Same thing with engines. We don't expect any engines to be over 10 in a million based on previous years. We are currently reviewing our engines based on their usage for 2016, and we'll be having some numbers later this year on those. Chrome platers, we will be visiting them next, not on the first round. This looks, when you look at this, Chromecraft is at 9.8, showing that it may be a problem. However, that's based on permitted level. Their actual emissions are about 10% of their permitted level. So we expect their risk when we visit the facility to be somewhere around 2 in a million. So it's going to be on the low end. Dry cleaners, there's a state regulation that requires the phase out of perchloroethylene, and right now we only have one dry cleaner left that is using perchloroethylene, and they're scheduled to be phased out by 2020. So when you look at all these programs that are going on around the state and locally, it's really a success story on the reduction of toxics. The dark bars show the risk trends in the Sacramento region, and the light bars is statewide. And you see over time how that number has been reduced drastically. The pollutants that I'm showing on that graph are the most significant ones, the ones that contribute the most to the risk. And this graph shows where those emissions are coming from. The different shades of brown, those are mobile sources emissions. The shades of blue indicate stationary source emissions. These emissions were measured at the monitoring stations. Here I'm indicating the one in Sacramento. The location varies over time for various reasons. They have to shut down a station and move it someplace else. So the 1990 data is based on the station in Citrus Heights. In 94, it moved to Roseville, over by North Sunrise and Douglas Boulevard area. So these are monitoring stations, so they're measuring ambient concentration, and it's picking up both stationary and mobile source emissions. The one thing that you are not going to see from the monitoring station is the contribution from diesel particulate. That is not being measured by the station itself. That is calculated using NOx emissions and fleet information, and it goes in through some various equations, and the Air Resources Board calculates the contribution from particulate matter from diesel. So when you include diesel into the equation, you'll see the numbers go up substantially. Diesel is a huge part of our overall ambient toxics impact. But you also notice that since 1990, that number, the overall risk number, has gone down by 76%. That's huge. So pollution, or when you look at population has gone up about 30%, the number of vehicles 35%, the economy has gone up over 80%, and yet the toxics cancer risk has gone down by 76%. So that is a huge success story, but it's not really the end of the story. What we need to look at now is what is going on at the community level. How, at the community level, how are toxics and mobile and stationary sources impacting our communities? And what communities are being impacted the most, and what can we do to mitigate those impacts? And that's where we think that AB 617 is going to come in and bridge that gap that we have in our program. And that's all I have for you, and I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Director Gary, you had a...
Yeah, very brief, or if not, we can talk afterwards, but I wanted to know if, what the process is, or how do we notify, say, a business that's getting close to the 10 per million marker, and any of these, I was just looking at the chrome platers, they're at like 9.8. How do we get ahead of the curve with some of them so that they can start planning before we actually get to a point where they're in a dangerous zone? So I don't know if there's a brief response, and if not, I'd glad to chat after.
Yeah, there's the permitting program is based on the maximum that we're allowing a facility to do. In the case of Chromecraft, that 9.8 is based on the maximum that they're allowed to do. The hotspots program is based on what they're actually doing.
I see, okay.
So on the permitting process, we make sure that they're not going to exceed the 10 in a million, and then we use the 2588 or the hotspots program to see what is going on from year to year. Okay. The problem is that our toxics permitting program did not start until around 1990 or so. Right, so all the facilities that were permitted before that, we don't have a permitted level that will keep them under 10 in a million.
But to get to your question directly, we are in direct contact with each of the facilities. And part of the process, and one of the reasons it's so resource intensive, is our permitting engineers are in direct contact with each of these businesses.
Good. Yeah, I think notice helps them, better plan rather than an abrupt change of their business model. So,
any other questions for staff? Okay, thank you. So that will move on to item 10, Mobile Sources Air Toxics Protocol.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. My name is Rachel DeBose, and I work in the CEQA and Land Use section. Today, I'm presenting on the guidance we provide local land use jurisdictions in assessing and disclosing people's risk to exposure to motor vehicle exhaust from transportation corridors within Sacramento County. I will refer to this guidance as the protocol throughout this presentation.
Sorry, I was just reminded of something that we didn't do on item 9, so if we could just pause for one brief second and go back to item 9 so that I can open the public hearing and then check to see if we have any public comment.
We do not have any public comment.
Okay, any other questions or comments on item 9? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Do we need to take action?
No, you don't need to take action. You just.
So with that, we'll move back to item 10 and we'll have staff presentation. My apologies.
All right, no worries. First, I'll talk about our existing protocol and explain why it needs to be updated. Then, I'll describe our proposed protocol. Finally, I'll ask that you approve the methodology behind it as amended and authorize the APCO to make minor amendments as appropriate to provide the best information possible to our local land use jurisdictions. As with stationary sources of toxic air contaminants, exposure to mobile sources can cause health problems over time, including cancer. With this knowledge, in 2007, the board endorsed the recommended protocol for evaluating the location of sensitive receptors adjacent to major roadways. This guidance document helps decision makers assess, disclose, and reduce risk for people living near freeways and major roadways in proposed land use developments in Sacramento County. By the way, we refer to people as receptors.
Do they like that?
In the intervening years since our protocol was adopted, the scientific, legal, and technical landscape of health risk assessment has evolved significantly. Notably, as Jorge just talked about, the state agency that sets standards for health risk assessments released new guidance that recognizes increased risk, especially for children. This changes the way we calculate cancer risk. Over the years, we've also received requests from land use and environmental planners for an online tool that maps out risk, as well as requests for information on the latest studies on exposure reduction measures. Now I'll describe the online tool that we're proposing. When you access the tool, you're first greeted with a zoomed-out view of Sacramento County with the freeways and heavily traveled major roadways highlighted. And for purposes of this tool, the major roadways include portions of Watt, Sunrise, and Hazel at Highway 50. Upon zooming in, the user is presented with a finely spaced grid of receptor points. Clicking on a point brings up a health risk table. Here we see cancer risk for diesel particulate matter. You can see in this example that the receptors being affected by pollution from Business 80, State Route 99, and Highway 50. You may note that their cancer risk from the railroad is 0. This is because we currently do not have data on locomotive traffic in Sacramento County. The information is considered proprietary. Currently, the user must input that data manually based on their own counts. On the dais, you will find an amended version of Attachment 1, which is the methodology for this tool. It includes 2 ways that the district could estimate locomotive traffic, either through manual counts or by using data shared by the railroads. If the board approves the item as amended, we can add the rail data into the tool as it becomes available. The model also calculates PM 2.5 concentrations and risk from total organic gases. All of the data going into this model has already been publicly vetted and is commonly used by government agencies, including SACOG, the Federal Highway Administration, and the Air Resources Board. We will update the tool as new data becomes available, such as emission factors and revised health risk assessment methods. In addition to the online tool and its supporting guidance, we also provide detailed guidance on ways to reduce exposure to mobile source air toxics, such as site design, solid barriers like sound walls, tree plantings and their care, and enhanced home filtration. There are other risks from mobile source emissions in addition to cancer, such as low birth weight and heart disease. This tool